Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from today. I'd love to know. And if you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, let's jump in. For more than 200 years, the war between the Arcturus Alliance and the Orion Confederation had torn the galaxy apart. Planets were turned to dust. Whole civilizations were wiped out. Neither side would give up, and neither could win. The stars had become battlegrounds, and peace was just a forgotten word. Everyone who fought had known nothing but war. Until something happened that no one expected. On a quiet night on a small blue planet called Earth, far away from the fighting, a signal came through the silence of space. A woman named Samantha Wright, working alone at a space station in New Mexico, noticed something strange on her screen. It wasn't a natural signal. It had patterns, like it was made on purpose. That tiny discovery, made in the middle of the night by a human no one in the galaxy even knew existed, would lead to something no alien had ever imagined. Because humans were different. And once they stepped into the war, everything changed. In just 3 hours, a species the galaxy thought was too young, too weak, and too primitive would do what two ancient powers had failed to do in centuries: end the war. But the galaxy didn't know that yet. Far above Earth, beyond the reach of any telescope, two enormous alien fleets continued to fight like they always had. Ships the size of cities clashed in empty space, firing beams of light that tore moons in half. The war had become background noise to the rest of the galaxy. Normal. Endless. No one remembered why it had started. No one believed it would ever stop. But that quiet blue planet, the one the Arcturians and Orions had ignored for so long, was about to become very important. And the reason was simple. Earth was in danger. For years, Earth's governments had kept the truth hidden. They knew alien life existed. They had seen the signs, tracked the signals, and watched battles happening far beyond Pluto. But they said nothing. People weren't ready. Earth was still divided. Nations didn't trust each other. And war between humans still felt too close. So they built secret bunkers, launched hidden satellites, and watched the stars in silence. But silence would not keep them safe. The signals were getting closer. The war, which had once been far away, now edged toward Earth's solar system. One alien crash, one mistake, one drifting ship, and the secret would be out. And it happened fast. A strange object entered Mars's atmosphere. Too fast for a meteor, too smooth for human design. When it crashed, it shook the red dust into the sky. The scientists on Mars didn't know what they were looking at until they saw it up close. It was a ship, and not one of ours. Inside was a being. Injured, alien, and scared. His name was Seltor. And what he told the humans changed everything. There was a war, yes. But it wasn't just about planets and power anymore. The Orions had noticed Earth. They had seen the rescue of their enemy, and they were coming. Earth had only days, maybe hours, before the war came to them, before cities turned into craters and skies turned into battlefields. The world faced a terrible truth. They were no longer hidden. They were no longer safe. And they had to decide, fast. Should they pick a side? Should they try to stay neutral? Should they trust the alien who crash-landed on Mars, or believe the ones who came smiling with promises? None of the answers were easy. every choice came with danger. If Earth joined the wrong side, it could mean extinction. If they stayed out of the war, they might be crushed between two powers that saw them as ants beneath their boots. And if they tried to fight, well, no one believed they had a chance. Not really. But what the galaxy didn't understand, what not even the humans fully realized yet, was that Earth had one weapon more powerful than any laser or shield. Their way of thinking. Humans had never had the biggest armies. They had never ruled the stars. But over centuries, through war, survival, and struggle, they had learned to adapt, to solve problems no one else could, to think sideways when others marched in straight lines. And now, they were about to bring that thinking to a battlefield that had never seen anything like it. The question wasn't whether Earth would fight. That answer came fast. The real question was, would it be enough? The decision to act wasn't made in one room or by one person. It started in whispers, across labs, bunkers, and darkened halls beneath the earth. People who had trained in secret for years stepped into the light. Files marked eyes only were finally opened. Phone calls were made in the middle of the night. Some were terrified. Some were angry. But all of them knew the truth now. Earth was out of time. In a sealed chamber, deep beneath Geneva, a man named John Martinez, director of the United Earth Defense Initiative, stood before a wall of glowing monitors. He had seen the reports, the crash on Mars, the approaching ships, the transmission intercepted near Alpha Centauri. One of the monitors showed the alien Celtor recovering slowly in a clean white room, watched over by human doctors and scientists. His blue skin looked faded, his eyes tired, but every word he spoke painted the same picture. The Orions were coming. Martinez turned to his team. Scientists, generals, analysts, some from countries that had been enemies not long ago. Now they stood together. "We kept this a secret for as long as we could," he said, his voice heavy. "But now the war is at our door. We don't get to hide anymore." Across the ocean, in a quiet lab built into the side of a Colorado mountain, Dr. Karen Baker stared at her computer screen. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. The numbers didn't make sense, but they kept repeating. She had tested the equations again and again. The results were the same. Something was buried inside the alien technology. Not a weapon, not a map. A possibility, a way of moving, not just through space, but through time itself. Or, more exactly, between moments. It was hard to explain. The alien ships used advanced engines, faster than light travel, complex energy shields, but they were still working inside the same rules of space and time. What Dr. Baker had discovered was something else. Something neither the Arcturans nor the Orions had ever seen. She called it phase shifting. It was like slipping between the ticks of a clock. For a fraction of a second, a person or a machine could step out of normal time, invisible, untouchable, but still able to act, still able to strike, and if done right, able to return before anyone even knew they were gone. That was the spark. While the world leaders argued and the alien fleets crept closer, a small team of engineers, pilots, and scientists started building something new. Something no alien civilization had ever prepared for. They called it the Ghost Program. At first, it was just theory, then a drone, then a full prototype. A tiny silver ship, no bigger than a fighter jet, equipped with Earth's first phase shift core. It vanished for 3 seconds during its first test, then 5, then 10. It didn't just disappear, it passed through walls, through sensors, through energy fields. And when it reappeared, it hadn't aged a second. Captain Henry Daniels was one of the first to fly it. A former Air Force pilot with sharp instincts and a calm voice, Henry had never believed in aliens. Not really. But now, with a sleek new ship under his boots and a war waiting above the clouds, belief wasn't needed anymore. He didn't smile much. But when he landed the test flight and the ghost ship's systems held together, he looked at Dr. Baker and simply said, "It's going to work." In Antarctica, far from satellites and spy eyes, the first squad of pilots was gathered. 20 men and women from all corners of the world, trained in secret. They learned how to move like shadows, how to fight and vanish, how to strike without warning and never be seen. It wasn't just about flying. It was about changing the way war was fought. Meanwhile, on Mars, Seltor spoke more clearly every day. Olivia Grant, a linguist from Oxford, worked with him around the clock. Through drawings, gestures, and shared words, she pieced together his story. The Orions were not protectors. They were conquerors with pretty words. They offered peace, and then they demanded obedience. One world after another had learned too late. Now they were coming for Earth, not because Earth was powerful, but because Earth had helped an Arcturan survive. Seltor's message was simple. They will not forgive. You must choose. And Earth did, not by vote, not with fanfare, but through a quiet decision made by a handful of people with the courage to try something new. They would not pick sides. They would not beg for mercy. They would prepare to fight. But not like the aliens. Not with fleets or firepower. With something different. With something only humans would think to do. The plan was not shared with the world. Not yet. Most people on Earth still went about their daily lives, unaware that alien fleets were circling at the edges of their solar system. The skies looked peaceful, but space was not. In hidden bases beneath ice and rock, Earth's brightest minds raced against time. The Ghost program expanded, no longer just a prototype, now a fleet in progress. 20 ships had become 50, then 100. Engineers worked day and night, building the sleek, silvery crafts with their glowing cores and phase shift modules, each one pulsing like a heartbeat, each one capable of disappearing into the cracks of time. The pilots trained in silence. Henry Daniels led them. He didn't give long speeches. He gave them truth. We're not stronger than them, he said. We're not faster. But we are something they've never faced. We think differently. That's our weapon. And he was right. The Arcturans and Orions had fought for centuries, but they had also grown rigid. Their strategies, their battle formations, even their weapons, they had changed little over time. It was war by routine, predictable, powerful, but stale. Humans weren't like that. They invented, improvised, broke rules, found shortcuts. They looked at problems from the side, not straight on. And now, that thinking was being tested in real time. The Orions arrived first. 5 massive ships, each the size of a mountain, dropped into orbit over Earth. Their metal bodies shimmered like oil in sunlight, black and purple, cold and perfect. They didn't hide. They wanted to be seen. Their leader, Ambassador Nixala, spoke in every language at once, broadcasting directly to Earth's governments. "We come in peace," she said, smiling with too many teeth. We offer protection from your enemies. Join us, and you will thrive. Resist and suffer the fate of those before you." Her voice was smooth. Her promises were tempting. She offered clean energy, powerful medicine, faster ships, longer lives. All Earth had to do was agree to let the Orions place defensive bases on the planet. Just 3 of them, she said, then 7, then 1 in New York. But others remembered Seltor's warnings. The Arcturan pilot had spoken of Orion's strategy. How they arrive, offering gifts, then take what they want. Freedom becomes cooperation. Cooperation becomes control. Still, not everyone agreed. Some Earth leaders argued that siding with the Orions was the only way to survive. They were powerful, organized, already here. What chance did Earth have against them? Against both alien empires? In Geneva, the United Earth Council split into factions. Some pushed for alliance. Some wanted neutrality. A few said Earth should help the Arcturans. Others just wanted time. More time to prepare. But time was running out. Dr. Karen Baker's lab had suffered an attack. Small, but targeted. A probe, not of Earth origin, had nearly crashed into the facility. The message was clear. The Orions were watching. Still, Baker and her team pushed on. The phase shift tech was working better every day. She had improved the device, extended its limits. Ghost ships could now vanish for 30 seconds at a time, enough to strike and escape before any alien weapon could lock on. But it wasn't just about hiding. The tech had more potential. Baker saw glimpses of what it could become: instant travel, healing tools, communication faster than thought. She didn't want it to be just a weapon, but for now, it had to be. Captain Henry Daniels was briefed again. His squad was being expanded. They wouldn't just test the tech anymore. They would soon be called into real combat. He didn't blink. When? Soon, General Powell told him. Maybe days, maybe hours. Meanwhile, in a secure room beneath the Colorado facility, Olivia Grant sat across from Seltor. The Arcturan was healing fast now. He wore a modified Earth jumpsuit and spoke in short, careful sentences. "You must be ready," he told her. "Orions. They will not wait long." He had felt it. Through a link in his mind, a small communication implant still active. The Arcturans were coming. A battle fleet, not to conquer, but to challenge. To distract the Orions if Earth would not yet fight. The message was simple. We will keep them busy, but only for a while. And so, the secret call was made. Earth sent coordinates, a warning, a simple request: buy us time. And the Arcturans responded. Now, 2 alien powers gathered above Earth, one with weapons hot, demanding submission, the other holding off the storm, for now. Neither side truly cared what humans wanted. They saw Earth as a pawn, a small, strange planet caught in the path of ancient hatred. But humans, they were never good at staying in their place. And below the surface, the Ghost Fleet waited, charging, training, preparing. Their moment was coming. And when it did, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The tension above Earth grew thicker by the hour. The Orion ships, no longer patient, began powering up their weapons. Cities across the world went into lockdown. Satellites tracked every movement in orbit. Ambassador Nix Allah sent one final message to the United Earth Council. You have 6 hours to decide: surrender or be destroyed. But in a hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth had already made its decision. "We don't surrender," President Laura Wilson said, standing in front of a large digital map filled with red alien markers. "We never have. We never will." Beside her, General Powell turned to Dr. Karen Baker. "Is the fleet ready?" Dr. Baker took a breath. "As ready as they'll ever be." The Ghost Fleet, 200 human ships equipped with phase shift drives, was launched. 20 flew from Antarctica, others from underground bases in Asia, North America, Africa. One by one, they rose quietly into the sky, slipping through clouds unnoticed by the massive alien vessels above. Captain Henry Daniels led the charge. In his cockpit, the familiar hum of the shift core pulsed like a heartbeat in his ears. He checked his controls. All systems green. "Ghost leader to fleet," he said into his helmet mic. "This is it. Time to show them who we are." One by one, the ships disappeared from normal space. In orbit, the Orion fleet was ready for battle. What they expected was a bold but hopeless attack from Earth's primitive jets. What they got was something else entirely. Ghost ships blinked into existence inside their formations, fired, and vanished before alarms could even sound. Their weapons weren't blocked by Orion shields. Their movements couldn't be predicted. They were like phantoms, impossible to track. One Orion battleship exploded in a flash of blue light. Then another. Then another. The Arcturan fleet, hovering at the edge of the system, watched in confusion at first. Their sensors didn't understand what was happening, but Admiral Krell recognized it. "Humans," he said quietly. "They've done something new." The Ghost Fleet didn't stop. Their tactics changed mid-battle, unpredictable, fluid. They struck where no one expected, disappeared, and reappeared on the other side of the battlefield. The Orions couldn't react. They weren't used to fighting enemies they couldn't see. Within 20 minutes, Earth's pilots had destroyed half of the Orion fleet's supply ships. Fuel lines ruptured. Command ships lost contact. Panic spread. Ambassador Nick Sala appeared again on all channels, but this time her voice was less smooth, her words sharper. "This is a violation of galactic law. This is an attack against a superior force. Stand down, or we will erase your species." Captain Daniels heard the broadcast. He shook his head. "We already made our choice." He gave the order. Phase again. Hit them hard. No mercy. As the Ghost Fleet moved in for their final strike, something shifted in the battle. The Orions, once so confident, so proud, began retreating. Their engines flared as they turned to flee. But it was too late. 35 minutes after the first shot was fired, their flagship, twice the size of Manhattan, was surrounded. Captain Daniels opened a secure channel. "This is Earth. Your war ends now." There was a pause. Then, for the first time in centuries, the Orions surrendered. Not to the Arcturans, not to another empire. They surrendered to humanity. 3 weeks later, aboard a neutral space station orbiting a calm star, peace was signed. Representatives from Earth, the Arcturus Alliance, and the Orion Confederation sat together at a long table. President Laura Wilson spoke first. "We didn't ask for this war," she said, "but we ended it. Now, we will help rebuild what was lost, together." And they did. The Galactic Concord was formed, a council where every civilization had a voice, including Earth. For the first time, there was a place where old enemies could meet as equals. Dr. Karen Baker was honored by both alien factions. Her phase shift technology, once a weapon, was repurposed for peace. Medicine that could heal from inside the body, transportation that could cross stars in seconds, communication faster than thought. Captain Henry Daniels became Admiral Daniels. He never called himself a hero, but statues of the Ghost Fleet now stood on every continent. And Seltor, the first alien to touch Earth soil, stood beside him at the dedication of the Peace Monument in Geneva. "We thought you were weak," Seltor said, "but you are something else. You are new." Admiral Daniels smiled. "We're human. That's what we do. We find a new way." 50 years later, the story is still told. Not just on Earth, but on 100 worlds. The war that lasted for centuries ended in 3 hours. Not because of weapons, not because of numbers, because of one thing no one expected: a different way of thinking. And across the stars, no one would ever underestimate humanity again.